So that these are just some examples of the kinds of explorations that we're doing in Harvard X. But an important thing to realize is that many of those explorations, if not all of them, are also done in collaboration with the Derek BOK Center for Teaching and Learning. So that it's a way of linking up everything you do online with what you do on campus. So that when you think about sort of a teaching and learning center, the BOK Center has a long tradition of a particular focus on translating and disseminating best practice in teaching and learning on campus to faculty and graduate students. But the partnership with Harvard X is now allowing us to do something else as well, which is to focus as well on experimentation and innovation. So that now the BOK Center has a critical commitment to faculty that want to do entirely new things. So it's not just professors that need help with their teaching. It's professors that have an exciting new idea that they want to test out. The BOK Center is now a place that they can do that. So that when a discovery is made in teaching and learning in the BOK Center, we can circulate it and translate it into best practice on campus. But very importantly, we can now evaluate how effective it is using different learner populations, using different student audiences. And what we learned from that allows us to continue to enhance the innovation and the experimentation. So that the BOK Center now has a virtuous cycle that allows us to take things from Harvard X, but to also contribute things to Harvard X. So they're very intimately linked, one with the other. So that over the past year, the BOK Center has reorganized itself around 4 areas of focus, 4 foci. One is multimedia, literacy and visualization. Another is science and learning. How do we teach science more effectively? But also, how do we contribute to the science of learning? What we understand cognitively in terms of what best supports learning. What we're calling professional and scholarly development, we now have a much expanded commitment to training our graduate students for the new world involving technology and the internet that's now out there. And believe me, our graduate students are very passionate and eager for this. And finally, educational research and assessment. It's no longer enough to think that something's a good idea, therefore it's good. We have to know that something is good based on evidence. So that this allows us now to really explore how do we work with faculty. And so Sue Goldie is a professor at the School of Public Health at Harvard. And what she's interested in doing is, how do we do a new version of what we sometimes call the Khan Academy approach? So in the Khan Academy, you just see text and diagrams being drawn out, but there's no person there. All you hear is a voice. But we have preliminary research that shows that having some connection with the person is important. Helps you pay attention, helps you feel motivated. So Sue was interested, because she draws a lot when she teaches, on how do I bring that to a different online experience. So this shows Sue working with the BOK Center, developing a new style of doing drawing for a MOOC. It's using paper.
And I like to have people warm up to this idea by thinking about the level at which it acts. So if you just think of getting up in the morning where you're alone in your room, there are all the things about you as an individual, your behaviors, your beliefs. So think of family and the people you live with, and that's a level.
Put down your hands, 'cause I see you.
So working on something for Harvard X is a lot of hard work. And so as you can see, faculty get support that's almost emotional as well as intellectual. So that what we've learned is that faculty now in their teaching and learning, it's no longer just a solitary activity where it's just you by yourself with your notes and your books, etc. It's now more an activity that's part of a community. So that ultimately, student collaborators are an incredibly important part of what the BOK Center does and what Harvard X does. We tend to think of students as the recipients of what we do, when ultimately one of the best ways to learn is to teach. So we now have graduate students and undergraduates involved in virtually every project. So there's a project called, for example, the Digital Problem Solving Initiative, where faculty and students get together to create better assignments, better exams, better problems. So that in this case, we hold at the BOK Center these big work sessions where a mixture of students and faculty come together. So that's a graduate student. Lisa's a graduate student. But we also have the dean of the Harvard Law School who's teaching a course. That's a faculty member from the Graduate School of Design. And they're all working together, developing and critiquing assignments. So that this is a way of creating this community that's not just faculty, but also students when it comes to developing learning content. This same structure is exactly what we do in Harvard X, and what Harvard X taught us is that now, today, creating learning experience involves not just yourself and maybe student collaborators, it involves media specialists, it involves instructional designers, it involves researchers, educational researchers, and it involves technologists. So that now it's a community of content development that is so characteristic of the best sort of learning and curricular developments that we do.